From managing some high temperatures on the pitch to dealing with some inconsistencies. And I even have to caution the club assistant. It really was a tale of two halves, key moments, the challenges, and everything I learned from the game. In today's vlog, I'll be taking you through the match that had a little bit of everything. So today's game is between Quedgley Wanderers versus Chelford FC in the Gloucestershire County League. If you watched last week's vlog, you'll see that we refereed Quedgley already, and so we've kind of got an idea of what they're like, how they play, and what the players act like. Chelford, I've never refereed before, so this is a fresh game. Before we jump into the review, let's take a quick look at my Ref 6 stats for the game. Let's see how much I moved. So in the game, we covered a total of 10.63 kilometers. I have no reference for how much that is. Is that a lot? Is that not a lot? Let me know in the comments the average distance you guys cover. 5.47 in the first half and 5.16 in the second half. As a general heat map, I'm happy, but if you look at the first half, I'm a lot more central compared to the second half. Second half, I've covered a lot more of the pitch, so much more happy with the way I moved around in the second half. Sprint map, loads of sprints, flipping it. And there's one key sprint that I actually really want to look at, so we'll cover that in the review. Max heart rate 184, so that's quite up there. I think my max heart rate would be like 191, I think, something like that. So it's up there for sure. In terms of speed, obviously a lot of walking, a lot of jogging, a lot of standing. I'd love to change this. I would really love to change this. I'd love to see a lot more jogging here. If you're walking, you can be jogging, being on your toes, and that way, again, you're ready to move when something happens, which if you watch the review in a minute, you'll see how I get caught out. Big shout out to Ref 6 for obviously sponsoring the channel as well. This is absolutely brilliant, massively helpful for me to have a watch and obviously a subscription. So many thanks for that. We get our game started with a yellow card, but it's probably one that I could have prevented. So let's take a look and watch. So we give a foul out on the far side, and then they go to take a free kick. They nudge it back, they put their hand on it, and they get ready to play quick. The lad blocks it, which is, for me, delaying the restart, and so we show our first yellow card of the game. In law, yes, it's a yellow card. However, this leads me to have problems later on in the game because I've set the tone so kind of heavy so early on this type of offence. Do I really need to give a yellow card in the 9th minute for a lad stopping them taking a quick free kick, or can I manage the situation by having a word with them in front of the benches so everybody knows and move away from the situation? However, if we read law, what does it say? Referees must caution players who delay the restart of play by appearing to take a throw in but suddenly leaving it for a teammate, delaying leaving the field of play when being substituted, excessively delaying a restart, kicking or carrying the ball away, or provoking a confrontation by deliberately touching the ball after the referee has stopped play, and then taking a free kick from the wrong position to force a retake. This is really interesting. I've actually never read this portion of law before, but I think most referees around the world would take this with a pinch of salt. So would I say that this person is excessively delaying the restart? No, but they're not respecting the distance. So what does that come under? So again, as it says in law, cautionable offences, a player is cautioned if guilty of failing to respect the required distance when players restarted with a drop ball, corner kick, free kick, or throw in. So that's what this would come under. Delaying the restart, or not respecting the required distances. They were less than 10 yards away and have blocked the ball. Now, obviously in law, it's a yellow card, but as I said, do players expect, do people want, is that what the game wants? Do we want yellow cards for that early in the game? My gut now, watching back and chatting to my mentor after, would probably be no. We can probably have a word with him, deal with it, and you'll see why that would have helped me later on in the game. We then get an example of some holding, pulling. So the ball gets played up and you'll see these two players challenging for the ball. Now, it looks like the red player gets thrown to the ground. I was about to give a free kick and realised that's not actually what happened. And I end up saying to him that it's a throw in, I can see you grabbing him round the back as well, so cut it out. If we watch the reverse angle from the video, you'll see that that's the case. The player in red from my angle, you can see it looks like he's getting grabbed, but on the reverse, you can see he's got his arm behind his back, tugging on the shirt, making it seem like he's being impeded. This probably should have actually been a free kick to Blue, but from my angle on the original clip, I thought Blue was holding as well. So I told them they're grabbing each other, leave it out. But yeah, you've got to be super switched on. And again, if you had assistance, this would be very clear because it would be on their side. But when you're out there by yourself, it makes life a little bit more difficult. Shortly after that, there's a quick break from the team in Blue and we get caught out in a poor position. So let's break that down. So Blue get the ball, they play it into midfield, play it back to centre half, and then it's very clear that he's going to play this ball forward, right? We can see by his body language here that he's going to pump that ball up the line or through the middle of the pitch. As he does play it, you'll see me watching for the foul, but do you see my body language? I'm walking, I'm stood, like almost stood still, I'm a bit nonchalant. And I learned a nice saying at the CPD event last week that if you're walking, you're standing still. Like there's really no difference as a referee. I'm not in a position here to get moving quickly, walking like I am. So you'll see me continue to walk, continue to walk, continue to walk, continue to walk until this position here where I finally identify that this could actually be a bit of a hostile situation. And so that's when I start running. Now that's great. I do start running, but I'm very, very late to arrive. I've just come on screen here on the right hand side, but I should be pretty much where I've put myself here with the arrow, breaking into play, making sure I'm right on top of things. Because as you see, 2v1, if he squares that back to the number 11, I'm way too far back to have an angle on a challenge between him and the goalkeeper and to see anything that happens. So I need to be sprinting into this position here, and it's not the fact that I'm not fit enough or I'm not quick enough, it's solely the fact that I switched off and I got caught walking, and that leaves me in a poor position. Thankfully, nothing comes of it by the grace of God, but if something would have happened, I would not have been in the right spot to deal with it. So you'll just see that I've had to deal with a bit of a confrontation. There's nothing much in it, but it could have boiled over, so we've told them to settle down, leave it out. And then very shortly after, from the throw-in, this happens. So there's a big, I guess, tussle for the ball on the sideline. But what do you notice about my movement, my body language? Well, as those three players are on the floor kicking it, again, I'm kind of just stood there watching, not really seeing anything. And what I really should do here is elevate my presence. Again, this is very much a high risk situation to be in with players on the floor kicking the ball around. So I should have been more vocal, elevate my presence, and that way it would have deterred anything from happening, seeing as the game had just started to get heated. So as the temperature rises, I should have elevated my presence a little bit, and I haven't. And again, it's something I've just got to work on, and hopefully we'll have some examples of that in the second half. So we obviously gave a yellow card for delaying the restart at the start of the game, and then we get this situation about half an hour into the game. So I've already given a yellow 9 minutes in. I've realised I probably shouldn't have done it that early. And so now I'm going to try and manage it, which is so backward. Really, I should just try and live and die. I don't know, maybe I just die by the sword of what I've done in the first place. Maybe this is inconsistent. People are going to have different views on this. But for me, I don't want to start dishing out more yellows if we don't need to. So again, I call him in and try and manage it. I basically explained to him that I've already booked his mate early in the game and he's running a very fine line of getting booked here, and anything more like that from him or from someone else in the team will basically end in another yellow card. Now again, what would have been better? If I'd have just chatted to the lad in the first 10 minutes and made a big point of it, again, use this showmanship. Hey, we're less than 10 minutes in, you're delaying the restart. Cut it out, I don't want any more. We make it super clear. We do it in front of the benches, and then this lad does this. It's such an easy yellow card, and everyone's like, well, the referee did tell you, he did say. Whereas now, because I've set the tone so early in the game, I've almost got to backpedal a little bit to try and manage the game. And so I've kind of put myself in a bit of a sticky spot. If I'd have done the right thing in the first instance by warning the lad on the far side, I'd have had a very easy caution here, and it would have, the flow of the game and the flow of how I referee would have been a lot better. Now, I know people are gonna have different opinions. Some people are just gonna say, well, you should just book him again. And you know what, you're probably not wrong, but I wanna manage the game as best I can and not give out cards unless necessary. You'll also notice that the red captain's visibly upset. And again, that's because of my inconsistency in the first place. I've cautioned the one lad on the far side. I've then not cautioned here. And he's saying, well, ref, you can't do one and not the other. And to be honest, he's absolutely right. I should have flipped this the other way around. Have a word, warn early in the game, set the tone that there's none of that's going to be accepted, and then I could have cautioned here rather than trying to flip it and manage it the other way. Then we get a really interesting situation where we have to show one of the club ARs a yellow card for this situation. So the goalkeeper gets it, lumps it long, it's played back by the Quedgley defender, then the player in blue headers it, and then he flags him for offside. Ball goes out, we signal for the throw in, we look over to the club AR, we tell him thank you, but put the flag down. And then once we deal with the restart, we give him a big thumbs up to say thank you, but we're gonna play on. I'll fast forward through what happens next because there's about a minute or so. So all that happens, the ball goes out for a goal kick, and then you'll see him go over to grab the ball and start shouting across the pitch. He wanted to understand why I hadn't gone with his offside decision. Obviously in the heat of the game, I wasn't going to run to the other side of the pitch to explain. I gave him a thumbs up. I said we can have a chat at half time, and then he started shouting more and more and obviously not giving the ball back. So I show him a yellow card and ask him to swap out with somebody because obviously this working relationship isn't going to flourish for the next hour. But was he right? Was he right in the first place? The way this is worded in law is not super clear, so I'll paraphrase for you. A player in an offside position receiving the ball from an opponent who's deliberately played the ball, even deliberate handball, is not considered to gain an advantage, okay, unless it was a deliberate save. So what does this actually mean? What that means is if the player's in an offside position, but a member of the other team deliberately plays the ball and then it arrives to them, they have not gained an advantage from being in an offside position, so they cannot be classed as offside. The only exception here is when the goalkeeper saves it, right? So someone takes a shot, their teammate's in an offside position, the goalkeeper parries it, they tap the ball in, that is classed as offside. That's a deliberate save, okay? So how I've understood law here, which is what it says, deliberate play is when a player has control of the ball with the possibility of passing the ball to a teammate, gaining possession of the ball, or clearing the ball, for example, kicking or heading it. If the pass, attempt to gain possession, or clearance by the player in control of the ball is inaccurate or unsuccessful, this does not negate the fact the player deliberately played the ball. So if a defender deliberately plays the ball and they mess it up, that offside offence is no longer applicable. It's no longer offside. Now, how do we determine if somebody's deliberately played a ball? The following criteria should be used as appropriate as indicators that a player was in control of the ball and as a result can be considered to have deliberately played it. The ball travelled from distance and the player had a clear view of it, right? So if the ball's come from them from half a yard away and they're trying to clear it, is that really a deliberate play because they've not had much time to think? The ball's not moving quickly, right? So if the ball's rolling very slowly, then again, it's much easier to make a deliberate action than if the ball's being fired in at you. The direction of the ball was not unexpected. Brilliant. If it takes a big deflection and comes towards you, have you really got control of your actions? Does the player have time to coordinate their body movement? For example, this is not a case of instinctive stretching or jumping or a movement that achieved limited contact and control, right? So have you actually had time to process what you're about to do, or is it a quick reaction that you haven't really got much control of? And then again, a ball moving on the ground is easier to play than a ball in the air. So reading all of that and watching this clip back, do we think that defender has deliberately played the ball? In the moment, I did. I thought there's more than enough time for that defender to header the ball and then again the other defender to chest it and control it. And so for me, this is not an offside offence. I can completely understand why the club AR is flagged here. This is an insanely complex law and one that's so wide open to interpretation. But for me, in the moment, how I saw the situation was clear. The defenders played the ball deliberately, and so the offside offence is no longer applicable. I hope that makes sense. It's insanely complicated when reading the laws, but I hope that that's as clear as it could get for you guys and girls. So the new AR, who was one of the, I guess, friends, family, whatever, of the team in blue, came to run the line on this side. And it just shows how difficult it is, because the first decision that they give, we have to overrule, which is not ideal, but you'll see why. Ball gets thrown in, blue goes to clear it. It comes off their own player's backside, as you can see, and then goes straight out of play. So he signals the wrong way, and we have to explain that, no, sorry dude, it's this way and we're gonna go that way. Again, you are the referee, you make the decision if it's right or if it's wrong. It's your decision. Try not to be swayed by club ARs if they make mistakes or they're one-sided, which is not the case here, absolutely not. It's a very honest, simple mistake, and I've made loads of them myself as a referee and as an assistant, but I had a great view of it and I could tell that it was actually a red throw-in, so that's why we've given it. A really interesting first half, lots of interesting decisions. So my mentor came into the changing room to have a chat with me. Massively, massively helpful. If you guys don't have a mentor in your local area, or you don't have someone that you can talk to, I'd absolutely encourage you to find somebody. The second half of this game felt 10 times easier based on the information, the encouragement, the advice that I received at the half time. So we spoke about how to heighten my presence in the second half. So we come out into the second half and we try and heighten our presence a little bit to make sure the players understand that I'm there and I see it. Again, really good point by my mentor. He said, when players are tussling and challenging for the ball, if they feel like they're being fouled and you're not saying anything, right? You're just looking, watching, you're thinking to yourself, it's not a foul, play on in your head, and you don't give it. If they feel like they've been fouled and you're not saying anything, it feels like you've missed it, like you've not seen it. And I'd never really thought about it that way. So by even just verbalizing what you're seeing, okay, let go, no hands, hands down, the players know that you're watching and you're seeing what's going on. You've just decided it's not a foul. Happy, I'm happy with that, all good, play on, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying you need to coach players through the game, but you'll hear me here saying hands down, they let go and they carry on playing. And that preventative refereeing is again something that was really highlighted at the CPD event, and Lee Swaby spoke about that. If you can prevent something from happening, flip and do it. You'll hear me say keep him down, which is great. So we stop the holding and then we get this situation. The player in red deliberately cuts across the player in blue. There's no foul and we give a throw into blue. However, I wanted to nip this in the bud very quickly. They're grabbing each other, he's throwing him on the floor, and I've explained to them, look, you ran across him not playing the ball. 2, you kind of dragged him down to on the floor a little bit. So both of you, cut it out, I'm watching, leave it, and that's it, it's dealt with. Last week, I was mentioning that I felt a little bit slow, a little bit lethargic, and then in the first half, there was that situation where the ball's come past me, I'm walking, I've got caught out, and I'm not in a good position. Again, I felt that, I had a word with myself, get myself going second half, again, height and presence, a little bit more switched on, and we make this sprint when the red team break through on goal. So the ball comes in from a throw-in, it's cleared by red, and then they go on a quick break. So let's break that down. You'll notice that as that ball is cleared and the red player makes a turn, again, I'm already moving here, you'll see. Already on the front foot, I'm already looking to run forward because I've seen what's about to happen. As I do that, I'm also scanning what's in front of me so I can see what could potentially happen in the phase of play. Now, as I'm glancing at play, I can obviously see there's a massive hole out on this right wing for this red forward to run into. And so as he goes to play that ball, we break round so we can get a good angle. And then as he takes the shot, we're 10 yards away from where it is and we're right on top of it if anything was gonna happen. So really happy with that. Much better movement, dynamic movement on the pitch, and something I need to make a habit. From that corner, the red team go 1-0 up. We then get another example of delay in the restart, but this time for the red team. So I can see the comments now. Just book him, Eric. Just book him, just book him, just book him. And you're probably right, honestly. But obviously I'd warned the player in blue in a very similar scenario here. And so I felt like, again, for the sake of the consistency, I need to have a word with him. But again, like thinking about it, do I? Because this is way later in the game. There's like 10 minutes left. So the impact of this delay in the restart now that they're 1-0 up changes things, right? So maybe this should have just been a caution. But the reason, again, I've put myself in this sticky spot is because I've warned the lad that's done something very similar earlier in the game. Again, if I'd have just given the yellow card, if I'd have just not given the yellow card at the start of the game, spoken to him, then caution the second one, this again becomes a very easy caution. But because I've been inconsistent, I've now got to try and save myself in being consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense. So it's frustrating. It's, again, something I've got to learn, got to work on. Does it have a major impact on the game? No, thankfully, but it gives mixed messages to the players. I just need to be clear. This probably should be a caution. We do, however, get a caution for this. The ball's played over the top, and the player in red just pushes the lad on the floor and then pushes him again as he's getting up off the ground. He then offers the number 5 to punch him on the chin, which he doesn't take him up on, thank goodness, and it simmers down by itself, thankfully. We pull the red player in, and we show him a yellow card for adopting an aggressive attitude. There's no need to push the lad on the floor in the first place. 2, the afters are completely unnecessary. And so this is a simple yellow card for me for, adopting an aggressive attitude. We then get another caution very shortly after for this. Goalkeeper clears the ball. It's turned over by blue, and then this lad is deliberately brought down. Very simple yellow card for me. Reason it's a yellow card, for you Americans, this will be, the code for this would be SPA. In England, we just call this foul tackle for stopping a promising attack. We don't have a specific code for it, but it's a foul tackle, stopping a promising attack. If this player gets away from red, you can see it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 4. 5 minutes left in the game. That for me is a promising attack, is an overload. And so we show a yellow card. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is full time. An interesting game. Thankfully, players and everybody else seem happy. Some more things to work on. This is going to be a never-ending journey. We're always learning. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.